The gasoline, diesel, rotary, and even jet engines we have today have evolved from designs that are over 100 years old. With the push in EV tech of late, it's tempting to think the advancement of our internal combustion engine has run its course. The thing about engineers is, they never stop engineering, and a brand new design called the entry ignition engine could change the combustion game. And on top of that, it's a two-stroke. But not the type of two-stroke you might be thinking about. Could a two-stroke engine save us from EVs? I don't know. Maybe. Watch and find out.
Thanks to Jackery for sponsoring today's video. Snowfall can be beautiful, but it can also be a winter disaster. Blizzards, extreme cold, power outages, it can feel like you're at the whim of the weather. We'll take the power back with Jackery. You'll be ready for everything winter has to throw at you with the Explorer 1000, Jackery's most popular model with the ability to supply 1,000 watts from multiple ports like AC outlets, a DC car port, and USB charging ports. But if you're trying to bring your power game up a few more notches, the Solar Generator 1500 has a massive 1,800 running wattage capacity, powering 99% of your devices and appliances in the event of an epic snowstorm. Unlike most home generators that burn dino juice, Jackery's solar generators can be used indoors and are real quiet. And hook them up to Jackery's solar panels to create a power-packed portable solution. So what are you waiting for? Power the warmth this winter by clicking the link in the description below today. Because not everybody lives in Southern California.
The appearance of a brand new kind of engine is a rare and exciting event. That's exactly what happened in 2020 when the entry ignition engine design debuted in the Journal of Society of Automotive Engineers. The way it works is a bit like an ordinary four-stroke, a bit like a diesel, and a little bit like two-strokes from over 100 years ago. I'm friggin' Emerald Legacy over here, just a little dash of four-stroke, up and a little bit of two-stroke, up, a little bit of diesel, glog, glog, glog. Entry ignition engine. Why's my hat keep flopping? So to understand the significance of the entry ignition engine, let's take a quick look at a typical two-stroke engine and why they haven't been used very often in cars. Now when most people think of two-strokes, they imagine lawnmowers, chainsaws, or the good old dirt bike, baby. Yeah! The kind of low-tech engines with premixed gas and oil and no valves. But they do make decent power and they go brah brah brah. Those are incredibly simple, and at their most basic, a two-stroke engine can have as few as 3 moving parts: a crank, a piston, and a connecting rod. That simplicity makes two-strokes lightweight and inexpensive, perfect for lawn care equipment. Of course, we like lightweight and inexpensive cars as well. And over the years, there have been a handful of two-stroke cars. Cars like the Saab Sonnet, the Subaru 360, and models from German manufacturers like Trabant, Wartburg, and DKW, which later became part of Audi. But these engines have some drawbacks that make them a poor fit for most road cars. They're smoky, loud, inefficient, and not really designed to run for long periods of time or under the conditions that ordinary road cars face. Let's take engine braking, for example. That's when you let off the accelerator and use the drag from the car's engine to slow the wheels. Instead of the engine's combustion keeping the wheels turning, it's actually the wheels keeping the engine turning. That's a perfectly normal thing to do while descending a hill or slowing with traffic. But in a two-stroke using premixed gas and oil, there's no separate system to provide engine lubrication. When you let off the accelerator, gas and oil aren't going to the engine, but all the parts in the engine are still moving, wearing down their thin layer of oil. In an ordinary two-stroke, that oil makes its way out the tailpipe and with no throttle input, isn't being replaced with new oil. On a long enough hill, that can lead to oil starvation, causing the engine to overheat or become damaged from excess friction. You gotta have that oil in there. When you don't have oil, you have metal on metal. And metal on metal is like, you need to lube it up. Get lubed, bro. With these two-stroke problems, car makers either had to come up with solutions or face the fact people could just go buy something else. When your customers have choices, you have to respond or you end up out of business. Just remember, Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for $50 million, but thought there was no future in Netflix. So most automakers use newer technology to make their two-strokes better. For oil starvation, some simply add in an oil pump to keep lubrication flowing even when the throttle isn't being applied. The same technology has been in many two-stroke motorcycles since the 1970s. Or you could do what Saab did and add a freewheel. That's a mechanical device that disconnects drive from the wheels if the wheels are spinning faster than the drive source. Bicycles use a ratcheting freewheel, and that's why you hear a clicking noise when you're coasting. Cars that use a freewheel instead rely on a centrifugal clutch freewheel. When the drive shaft is spinning, centrifugal force moves clutch pads outward, completing the connection with the wheels. But when the drive shaft spins slower than the wheels, those pads release, allowing the engine and wheels to spin independently. That does make engine braking ineffective, but it lets the engine idle normally when there's no load, so it still receives a small amount of fuel and oil, preventing that oil starvation. I'm so hungry for oil, feed me. The point is that two-stroke motors don't have to be like the ones found in lawnmowers. In our previous episode, we explained how Ferrari designed a two-stroke engine that solved all of the typical two-stroke problems back in 1994. They implemented modern engine technology. They added an oil sump, which prevents starvation and reduces smoke and emissions from burning oil. They added overhead valves to stop unburnt fuel escaping during the exhaust stroke and prevent exhaust gas from lingering in the combustion chamber. They even added a supercharger for a little extra punch to make up for the pressure boost loss by not routing air and fuel through the crankcase. It's not just Ferrari that continued to try out two-stroke designs. In 1990, GM showed a prototype Miata fighter called the Micro. Hell yeah, Micro machine. And in 2014, Renault unveiled a supercharged two-stroke diesel that made 107 foot-pounds of torque with just 0.7 liters of displacement. That's tiny, dude. But here's the thing, none of these designs have made it into production. The reasons are similar to why we won't get two-stroke F1 cars. Four-stroke engines are what everyone has put decades of development into. Nobody's going to adopt a drastically different engine design now unless it has some huge benefit, like a massive increase in efficiency. Massive and efficient? Stop it. And a huge increase in efficiency is exactly what the inventor of the entry ignition engine claims to have done. But unlike Ferrari, instead of just looking to modern technology to build a better two-stroke, they've also incorporated two-stroke ideas from the past. Sometimes you gotta learn from your mistakes, am I right? See, two-stroke and four-strokes are general terms for how often an engine makes power. In a two-stroke, every downward movement of the piston is a power stroke. In a four-stroke, every other downward movement of the piston is a power stroke. Put it another way, in a two-stroke, there are one power stroke for every 360 degrees of crank rotation. In a four-stroke, it's 720 degrees of crank rotation. That's if you're into degrees. Heck yeah. Apart from that, the specific details of combustion, how that power stroke happens, can vary. Most car engines use a spark plug to start the burn. Those are called spark ignition engines, and that includes both two and four strokes using the Otto cycle. That's O-T-T-O, not A-U-T-O. And it's named from Nicholas Otto, the German inventor who first harnessed that thermodynamic process to extract energy from fuel with an engine all the way back in 1876. That was 100 years after America was born. What do you think about that? Now, instead of spark, diesel engines use heat produced by high pressure in the cylinders to start the burn. Those are compression ignition engines, and they use the diesel cycle, another thermodynamic process described by yet another German inventor, Rudolf Diesel. Compression ignition engines also come in two and four-stroke varieties. What makes the entry ignition engine unique, but not entirely new, is that it doesn't use a spark plug or pressure to start the burn. It actually uses the Brayton cycle, something more often associated with jet turbines. That's yet another thermodynamic process named from George Brayton, an American inventor. Heck yeah, dude, America's in the freaking chase, man. Yeah, we had two Germans, we got one American. Brayton's original design in 1872 used pistons, not turbines, and the entry ignition engine is a Brayton cycle engine operating with the same principle. And here's how the EI, entry ignition engine, looks like. It's got 4 cylinders, all different sizes. That's pretty unique, but it isn't really a 4-cylinder engine. Only one of those cylinders is creating combustion, but 2 of them are producing power. To understand how all that works, we need to start right in the middle. Unlike most 2- and 4-stroke designs, the EI design doesn't mix intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust in a single cylinder. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. A skinny cylinder handles intake and compression, and the wide boy next to it handles the rough stuff, combustion and exhaust. The two pistons move together, so on the downstroke, skinny is doing intake, wide guy is making combustion. On the upstroke, skinny is making compression, big boy's pushing out exhaust. So if it's not spark or compression, so what starts the burn? How do we get this thing going from the jump? Well, it's right in its name. The first piston draws in air and compresses it. That pressurized air moves through a valve into the mixing chamber where fuel is injected. Another valve opens and that compressed air-fuel mixture rushes into the combustion cylinder. And it does this because the combustion cylinder is at a lower pressure and air naturally moves from areas of high pressure to low pressure. But it's also very hot in that cylinder. That's because the exhaust valve is designed to close before all the hot gases from the last round of combustion are pushed out. Like in a diesel engine, it's the heat in the cylinder that starts the burn, igniting the intake charge on entry to the cylinder, hence entry ignition. And because the pressure is higher in the mixing chamber, the flame only travels downward towards lower pressure in the piston. Look at that. You guys now learned a new engine. Cool. A Brayton cycle engine separates compression and expansion in different parts of the engine. That division of labor is exactly what's happening here. And because every step, intake, compression, combustion, exhaust, or as I say, suck, squeeze, bang, blow, is happening with every rotation of the crank, like Brayton's original piston engine, this is a two-stroke engine. There's one power stroke for every 360 degrees of crank rotation. So what's with these other two cylinders out here? Well, those are sort of helpers that maximize the thermal efficiency of the engine. That's the amount of energy from the fuel that's actually converted into work and not lost as heat. So increasing thermal efficiency not only improves miles per gallon, it also increases power per gallon. Didn't think of power per gallon as a metric, did you? Well, the first cylinder gives the engine two-stage compression, almost like forced induction. The piston compresses air before sending it to the second cylinder, which compress even further for combustion. And the reason those are two different sizes has to do with heat loss. The larger cylinder, the greater surface area, creates a charge with lower temperature than the smaller second cylinder. That extra compression increases the amount of oxygen delivered to the combustion cylinder, and more oxygen means more energy can be extracted from the fuel. Again, heck yeah, man. You guys gotta get pumped about engineering, man. This shit is cool, man. This is why I went to engineering school. And this is why I do donut now. So I can get you guys jacked up. Just fucking pumped. Just fucking psyched. New engine technology. Just engineering is sick, dude. Just like fucking bashing like Bash Bro stuff. Are we cool? We cool? Yeah, cool. Using a separate cylinder to pre-compress air was part of one of the very first two-stroke engines developed in 1880 by Scottish inventor Dougal Clerk. In fact, that design laid the foundation for most modern two-strokes. We sometimes describe those as using a modified Otto cycle, but really, they're the Clerk cycle. The name just never caught on. Dang, I just got you all jacked up about engineering, and now we find out that when you invent something, sometimes people don't use it. That hurts. It's like a stab to the engineer's heart. It's okay though. We'll give Clerk his due. History is written by the videos you put on YouTube. Now the final cylinder is there to extract energy from the exhaust that most other engines let go to waste. The gas forced out of the cylinder during the exhaust stroke hasn't reached atmospheric pressure. It's still compressed. The sound of your car's exhaust is actually the sound of wasted energy. It's those gases expanding. The EI engine harvests that normally wasted energy in a really large cylinder to make room for the expansion. The expanding exhaust gases push on that extra piston, and that means more power going to the wheels instead of out the tailpipe. That power also happens on the off stroke, the non-combustion, non-power stroke. So the EI engine is still making power even when no combustion is happening. Oh, dude, I'm telling you guys, this is sick. Those two extra cylinders help the EI engine extract more energy from burnt fuel, and the effect is a major increase in thermal efficiency. We already talked about why that's good. According to the inventor, Peter Cheeseman, the EI engine has a theoretical thermal efficiency of 63%, giving this Cheeseman cycle two-stroke engine a 15% advantage in efficiency and potentially power over the usual Otto cycle four-stroke. The Cheeseman cycle. Let's get this thing going. Let's go. So what's the catch, Jer Bear? Well, you're gonna tell me about this cool, sick technology. There's gotta be a little string associated with it. Well, the string is, right now, it only exists in theory. There's no working prototype, just the idea. In theory, in fact, don't always line up, and some pretty important facts could get in the way here. One potential problem with the EI's division of labor is that it takes 4 cylinders to do the job of 1 in an ordinary engine. That makes the engine incredibly complex. To get the equivalent of a V8, you'd need an engine with 32 separate cylinders. Not only would that be incredibly heavy with all those different size pistons, that engine would be a huge challenge to balance. Critics of the design have already popped up in the scientific community as well. A follow-up analysis by a team of automotive engineers claimed that once more realistic assumptions are added, much of the EI's theoretical efficiency gains disappear. Those assumptions include things like internal friction, high temperatures, and varying engine loads. According to that follow-up analysis, these facts about how an engine operates in the real world drop the EI's engine efficiency to the same levels or even worse than that of an ordinary engine. And while the emissions do improve in one sense, the same analysis claims the EI design simply trades a reduction in nitrous oxides for an increase in carbon monoxide. But what might be the nail in the EI's coffin is one fact we never seem to get away from. Freaking money, money, money. A completely new engine design is already starting at a deficit. Current engines have over 100 years of development, and getting an unproven design like the EI to get to the same level could take decades and billions of dollars. Everyone, they're trying to squeeze the last bit of efficiency out of cars. That's why companies are investing so much of their R&D dollars into electric solutions. A brand new, unproven internal combustion engine, even one with potential for efficiency and emissions gains, is unlikely to attract the investment it would need to become a viable alternative to the old but well-tested design.
Hey you who want to get buff this year? Well listen up, Pasta Arms. Donut just released the ultimate gym attire, and I'm here to show you how to get it workout ready. So pay attention.
Step 1.
Buy this beautifully designed shirt for just $29.98.
That's way less than $30.
Step 2.
Get some scissors out of the drawer, the one that we all have in our kitchen.
Step 3.
Carefully cut off the sleeves like so. You'll notice with each snip that this shirt is made from high quality cotton. Now doing this will help airflow as well as highlight your soon to be sculpted arms. So go to donutmedia.com and get all sweaty in this new Buff Horses shirt today.
What do you guys think? Did I burst your engineering heart's loving bubble? I know I got my heart bubble busted with this. I hope the guy actually makes it. I mean, the guy's name's Cheeseman. For f***'s sake, that's the best last name I've ever heard in my life. Cheeseman? Get out of here. I might change my name to Cheeseman. I just want a shirt that just says Cheeseman on it. Hey, where are you going? Gonna go hang out with Cheeseman. Yeah, I'm getting married to Cheeseman. His name's Cheeseman. It doesn't get much better. Just say Cheeseman once. Guy's like one of the best foods on the planet. Cheeseman. You could shorten his name to Cheese and you'd just be the sickest dude ever. Just, what's up? It's Cheese over there. Yo, Cheese. Cheese means money too. He's money man. Cheeseman the money man. Come on. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of B2B. We love you, man. We appreciate you guys watching these videos. That really helps us out. Lets me keep my job. So if you could, hit that like button if you like it. Hit the not like button if you don't like it. That lets me know that, hey, I don't want to see this stuff. We want to see other engineering type videos. If you want to see more of us here at Donut, follow us on Instagram at Donut Media. He's got a whole team of meme makers. And it's one guy named Brett. Follow me on Instagram at Jeremiah Burton. Until next week. Bye for now.